We're going to turn now to that devastation in Australia, where thousands of firefighters and first responders are battling unprecedented wildfires. At least 24 dead, more than 12 million acres destroyed. Ginger is on the scene in Balmoral, Australia with the latest. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning, George. The people that lived inside this home say they were 30 seconds from becoming a statistic. They had actually put in fire-resistant glass. That's what I'm holding here, just a twisted mess. The metal all twisted. Their home, they said, was just hit by fireballs that just came down and melted it in an instant. I want you to look at this map because that's the map of Australia over the weekend when 200 fires were burning. Just to give you the scope of this, if you put that superimposed on the United States, that would be like fires burning from California to Pennsylvania, Wisconsin to Florida. An unprecedented and early start to fire season here in Australia. Helena Wong and Justin Cam barely made it out of the fire alive.
The total disorientation, your entire life. You know, you feel as though it's yanked out from under you.
That is how thousands of people in Australia feel today. The skies over parts of their nation turned blood orange. So far, 24 people have been killed. We knew the wildfires in California were huge in 2018. And last year, the fires in the Amazon were even bigger. But since September, the fires here in Australia have already burned more than 2 times those events combined. I asked experts what makes wildfires different here, and it really comes down to the types of trees. We have pines and firs, but here it's all eucalyptus trees, and the eucalyptus oil inside is extremely flammable. Right behind me, a sea of those flammable trees that were extra parched from a driest year on record and the hottest year on record. More than 4,500 firefighters and support personnel are trying to stop the blazes, including 77 brought in from America. 21 more arriving today.
And they're going to go for a few more months at least.
Even the skies over parts of New Zealand splattered with haze and that orange glow. But this morning, it's Australia's animals who are some of the hardest hit.
There's estimates of hundreds of millions of Australian native species have been killed as a result of this devastating fire.
Reports that as much as half of the island's koala population has been wiped out. The Taronga Zoo in Sydney taking in koala evacuees. A dozen koalas in here rescued.
That's right.
And this is quarantine,
This is a quarantine area, so we're obviously keeping these animals isolated from the rest of the zoo collection.
So we are inside the quarantine where 12 koalas were rescued by Science for Wildlife. Now you have to look right over here. You can see that these females actually have joeys with them. So it was a population they'd been watching for some time. They knew that the fire could potentially take out their habitat, and it did. So it was a good thing they got them out when they did. Now, climate change, arson, and land management are all issues that experts and locals are telling me came together to make this supercharged season. Speaking of the season, we should have just been getting into it. They've still got 2 peak months to go through February. And even though the weather was cooler, a little wetter, and certainly going to be cloudier the next 2 days, by Thursday, Friday, that heat and the extreme low humidities return. Guys.
My goodness, the scale of the fire is just staggering.
It is.